PAT3053 Zakat and Tax Planning for this semester, A222. So I'm going to go through a bit about this course together with the assessment, and this is a bit of my details. I'm sure all of you know me already. So this is my phone number and also my email. And a bit on your registered financial planner program. As you know, you are all AE14 students. So we actually plan for you to get a dual certification, and based on our discussion with MFPC, Malaysian Financial Planning Council, you are entitled to 6 module exemptions by MFPC, which are Module 1, Fundamentals of Financial Planning, Module 2, Risk Management and Insurance Planning, Module 3, Investment Planning, Module 4, Zakat and Tax Planning, Module 5, Estate Planning, Module 6, Retirement Planning, and Module 7, Applications in Financial Planning. Right, at this stage, you should have done at least 3 modules. All right, Module 1. So in UPSI, we map this module to PFM3043. As you can see here, our course is Zakat and Tax Planning, and it is actually mapped to MFPC Module 4, Zakat and Tax Planning. Right, and these are the other 2 modules that you're going to take to complete your 6 modules in order for you to get exemptions. And for these courses, the minimum, by right, the minimum grade that you should get is actually B, but for our passing mark is actually C. Alright, so for module 7, later on when you are in semester 7, you're going to join a class conducted by MFPC trainer plus examination. So we don't get any exemption for this module 7. And also, as you already know, MFPC provide Best Associate Award to candidate for every cohort. So it's a high time for you to focus, especially on your CGPA. So as you all know, this is a dual certification program. You will get your degree by UPSI as well as a Registered Financial Planner designation awarded by MFPC. Alright, so I've introduced to you that this is actually one of the modules that you should get exemption from MFPC. So here we have Zakat and Tax Planning, PAT3053. And I will go through with you a bit about our course outline. So these are the course outline, the one that we are going to learn for the next 13 weeks. So we have introduction to Malaysian income taxation. All right. So as the subject goes, this is Zakat and Tax Planning. So you're going to learn about both the tax and also Zakat. So we are going to look at resident status. And then we will start with computation of chargeable income. So basically, the first 7 weeks is actually taxation topic. So the next week, during week 4, we're going to look at employment income. And there are a lot of sections, because when we learn about Malaysian taxation, we are actually looking at Income Tax Act. So we will go through, the topic is actually based on our Income Tax Act. And then we're going to look at investment income, right? And then computation of individual taxation. And then we are also going to look at business taxation, all right? How to compute the gross income, the business income for a business, and as well as taxation for partnership. All right, so not only for individual, we're also going to look at taxation from the partnership perspective. And then we will spend 1 or 2 weeks on trust estates and also settlement. Then this might be something new for you, but it is actually quite related to estate planning subject. Okay, and then towards the end, we are going to look at Zakat, and I think we will spend 2 weeks on Zakat, because we not only learn about the importance of Zakat and also the Zakat application. Right, and last but not least, we are going to look at tax administration and also tax planning. So this is where you will learn about the tax assessment, the tax return, the appeals, and also the penalties. All right, so this is the assessment. As you can see here, we are going to have 1 test, individual assignment as well as group assignments. And that would be 60% of the coursework, and we have final exam 40%. All right, so for your individual and group assignment, that will be discussed later when I finalize the instructions. And basically, I think for group assignment especially, we will complete this by maybe week 9, week 9. All right, and another thing is that our class will be conducted face-to-face. It's just that for this week, I have something else going on. So I expect you to watch the video and also attempt the forum questions after the end of this video. And inshallah, I will see you in class in the second week. So basically, if you look at the learning objective, so I will go straight away to our topic 1, a very simple introduction for you. So this is what we're going to do for the rest of the semester. So we are going to look at, first of all, we are going to look at the scope of charge, which means you need to understand what is actually the income that is included in our taxation. And again, as I told you before, we are going to look at Income Tax Act 1967, right? And also when we talk about businesses, again, it is actually under Schedule 6 of Income Tax Act. And then we're going to look at types of income under Section 4. So there's quite a number of sections that you need to remember for this subject. And as well as you need to be able to identify the relevant persons who are responsible for paying taxes in normal circumstances and also under special circumstances. All right, so why you must study taxation? Okay, this is a very important question to ask. First of all, of course, because you are from business faculty, so taxation is actually a compulsory subject, especially for accounting and finance students. But what about other students, other courses? Do they need to study tax? They do not have taxation in their course structure, but it is important for them to study taxation, and this is the advantage for you, I might say. Because an individual might ask, do I have to pay tax? One day you have to pay tax. When do I pay it? Where do I pay it? And how to calculate the tax that I have to pay? So all these questions, you should be able to answer all these questions by the end of the semester because you know already how to pay. So can you imagine your friends, for example, from geography courses, they don't understand, they don't know how to compute. So this is actually an advantage for us. But as I said before, students from other faculties, they also need to learn about taxation later in life, but not in their course structure in the university. All right, and then we are going to also to look at the focus of this Zakat and Tax Planning module. Okay, how are we going to go about this course or this module? So again, like I said, this is the content of this subject is actually similar to module 4, where you will learn about how to pay tax, how much to pay, how tax is computed, and we also learn about tax relief, tax credit, and also tax exemption. Okay, and then you must also understand, especially the scope of charge. What are the income that is actually included under Section 3? So which type of tax that should be charged for each year of assessment, and it is actually include income of any person accruing in or derived from Malaysia or received in Malaysia from outside Malaysia. Okay, and then this is the types of taxes. All right, so this is to show you what are the types of tax that is focused in this module. So we have two types of taxes, direct tax and also indirect taxes. So direct tax is actually tax paid directly to the government by the taxpayer. Okay, for example, individuals, we pay tax direct to the government, income tax, corporate tax, and it is administered by DGIR, Director General of Inland Revenue. That is direct tax. It means we pay direct to the government. The next one is indirect tax. This is actually paid to the government by an intermediary, the manufacturer or seller. For example, sales tax, service tax. Remember, if you go to restaurant, if you order McDonald's, kita ada sales tax, you have service tax. Those are actually administered by Royal Malaysian Custom Department. Alright, so for this course, we are only look at direct tax, not indirect tax. So if you remember last time we have GST, good service tax, okay, also under indirect taxes. But this is not the focus of our module. All right, again, we need to know the sources of Malaysian tax law. Okay, where do we get our tax law? All right, so first of all, of course, it comes from statute law or legislations. Okay, we have Income Tax Act 1967 issued by the Minister of Finance. All right, we also have case law, judge-made law. This is normally sometimes comes from doctrine of precedent, and also IRB's practice. So from time to time, our IRB, Indian Revenue Board, ataupun in Malay is Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri, LHDN. So in English is IRB. So it is IRB's practice to issue public rulings, and they call it public rulings, and guidelines based on their opinion and not law per se. This can be challenged in the courts, but for our course here, we use Income Tax Act and a lot of public rulings, and not much on the case law. Okay. All right, scope of income tax. Okay, again, this is under Income Tax Act 1967. We have section 3, so this is the charging section. So section 3 will explain to you what are the types of income that is chargeable to tax. And then we have scope of charge, okay, the limits within which income would be taxable in the country. So what type of income? And also, what does it mean by income? Because when we talk about income tax, we are looking at the types of income that is taxable, right? For our Income Tax Act, under the scope of income tax, we have a section saying that income tax shall be charged for each year of assessment upon the income of any person accruing in or derived from Malaysia or received in Malaysia from outside Malaysia. So we have 3 general categories of scope of charge. Number 1 is territorial basis. So income tax is only chargeable on income accruing in or derived from Malaysia, which is Malaysia's source of income. So imagine later on when you are employed by a Malaysian firm in Malaysia, which means you work in Malaysia, so your income is actually coming from Malaysia, territorial basis. So you will be charged under Malaysian income tax because that is your Malaysia source of income. It can also be foreign source, income received in Malaysia by any person who is exempted from income tax. For example, you invest in a company in Singapore, you get the dividend, you bring the dividend into Malaysia. That is income received in Malaysia. Okay, but coming from a foreign source. We also have world scope basis. This is charged on income wherever derived, even though income is not received in Malaysia. This is particularly for business on banking, insurance, and also sea and air transport. Okay, so we were going to look at into detail when we go to topic 2 and also topic 3 later on. This is also another important thing, another important section that you must remember. All right, so when we talk about classes of income, it is actually described under section 4 of the Income Tax Act. So section 4 dalam ni, if you look at here, we have actually 6 subsections. So section 4A, B, C, D, E, and also F, and also all right, section D, E until F. So each section will describe a different type of income. For example, section 4A focus specifically on business income. Section 4B focus on employment income. So section 4C under dividends, interest, and also discount. Section 4D rental, royalties or premiums, and section 4E pensions, annuities or periodical payment, and section F other than A until E. So for example, when we learn about employment income later on under section 4B, you will see what type of income that is actually chargeable. What about bonus that you get later? What about if the company provide you with drivers, the company provide with cars, provide you with shares. Okay, so all these will be discussed in detail under section 4B. So for under section 4C, for example, what about, remember just now I told you that, okay, you get dividend from shares that you invested in Singapore. So you bring it into Malaysia. So what will happen to that dividend? Is it chargeable? Is it taxable? Right, and also rental. If you have a rent business, or royalties, if you sell books, if you sell albums, and also the premiums, as well as pension, annuity, and periodical payment. So all these are discussed under section 4. So the umbrella is section 4, but we have different subsections. All right, so this is just the introduction to you, what we are going to learn throughout the semester. Okay, it looks simple, but it's very long. All right, and also remember here is section 4 and small a. 4A. Here we have for capital A. So for capital A, section 4A ni is actually for income received by non-resident person. Alright, here we are talking about non-resident and not Malaysian, non-resident. A non-Malaysian can also be a resident if he or she resides in Malaysia and receive income in Malaysia. Okay, so before we can calculate this thing, all right, before we can compute everything here, we must ascertain the resident status of an individual. And that would be done next week, and the resident status of individual. Okay. All right, so I have actually prepared for you a forum question in your My Guru. So you can log on to your My Guru and go to forum 1. And this is the question, a very simple question. There are various classes of taxpayers such as individuals, businessmen, employers, landlords, and others. You have to list 4 responsibilities of businessmen as taxpayers. Okay, since this is still ad drop week, so your forum will be due in week 3. So please do not forget to attempt your forum question, and it will be closed on 7th of April. All right, so until now, thank you very much for your attention, and I really hope that you find some time to address the forum question. And I will see you next week during class. Thank you very much. See you soon.